I see. Okay. Admin, give me. Wonderful. Okay. Members mute. Members mute. MAT Abacus, please mute. You are interacting the audio. Whoever is in control room, please mute. Admin in the control room, please mute your audio. You are interrupting my class. You are interrupting my class. Okay. Okay. It is good practice whenever you log on. You mute immediately so that you do not interrupt the recording. So, colleagues, I was introducing myself that I am CPA Zedi Muyingo. I will be your lead tutor for this paper, and my mobile is right here. That's my mobile. Okay. So we shall move this journey together from today until you sit your exams. The purpose of this webinar is to do introductions and paint a picture of what is expected from us, and also share with us what you expect from us. I will start with a few highlights about paper 7. As you know, that the pass rates in this paper have been improving. If you look at the pass rates have been improving. If you look at May, the nationwide pass rates were 53 point something %. That's a very high pass rate for a professional exam. If you are 53% passing, these were the national pass rates. Those were the national pass rates. And that's an improvement. But we normally want to analyze this from the MAT Abacus point of view. Whereas the national pass rates were 53, but at MAT Abacus, our pass rate was 64 point something. This is MAT Abacus. And also from our side, this was also an improvement. What those things mean is that for every 100 students who sat at MAT, from MAT, 64 passed. The 36 did not do well. We shall later analyze what is the problem with the 36. We don't want to celebrate that our pass rates were significantly above the national pass rates, but we want to see why is it not 100%, because every one of you has entrusted us with your money and time. You have paid the same fees, you are attending the same classes, delivered by the same tutor. How come that some pass and others don't make it? We need to do a root cause analysis there to find out. Nevertheless, it is a fact of life that others progress, others don't progress. Later, I will share with you some of the reasons why candidates don't make it. From my experience in teaching these papers, and from my experience in several professional engagements. So, those were the passages. So there is hope when you look at the figures. The figures are too high, and that creates hope. I'm telling you, these are very high figures in a professional exam. Because ordinarily, in professional exams, pass rates average at 20%. Okay? So these are achievements that we must consolidate and ensure that we do not come down in the following sittings. Now, paper 7. Paper 7. Someone would ask, what is the structure of this paper? What is the structure of this paper? And before you go to the structure, what is it in paper 7? Paper 7 is called financial reporting. This paper is called financial reporting. Now, financial reporting as a paper builds from paper 1. Okay? This paper here builds from your financial accounting. That one you must know. Builds from the financial accounting. In financial accounting paper, my colleague Joel introduced you to the key fundamentals in accounting. Everyone at this stage who has been our student from MAT, and even those who are coming from other colleges, I'm sure the tutors where you're coming from have given you the fundamentals. Accounting rests on 2 fundamentals. You first forget about the underlying assumptions. The debit and the credit. That's what makes accounting. That for every transaction that you pass, there must be a debit, there must be a credit. That's why accounting is called balancing. You're just balancing. There must be a debit and a credit. And this you have duly covered at level 1. Okay? Before you even go into the complex assumptions, accrual, going concern, those are just complex. The basics are there must be a debit, there must be a credit. Now, that's why we say that financial reporting builds from that. Okay? From that key fundamental. You cannot do financial reporting unless you have passed financial accounting. Then the question comes, what is the difference between the two? In financial accounting, you computed, you passed your debits and credits. This paper here introduces you to standards. This paper now introduces a candidate to financial reporting standards. Those are the International Accounting Standards and International Financial Reporting Standards. You see now where we are headed. In Accounting 1, you did your manufacturing accounts, you did your partnerships, you did the accounting for non-profit-making organizations. Now, we now start to go beyond that and now bring in the financial reporting standards. Those are the international accounting standards, what we call IS, and international financial reporting standards. Just as lawyers have their laws, section this of this law, section this of this what, as accountants, we also have our accounting standards. Now, these accounting standards are the same globally. Whether you're doing CPA Uganda, CPA Kenya, CPA Ghana, ACCA, what? The accounting standards remain the same. Okay? The accounting standards remain the same. That's why we do not have what we call international qualifications. Let someone not deceive you that for me, I'm doing maybe CPA Kenya, it's international. No, 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 no. We call them foreign accountancy qualifications. There is no international qualification. Why? Because now almost all countries have their national accounting qualifications. You come to Uganda, we have ours. You go to Kenya, there's CPA Kenya. You go to Tanzania, they have their NBA. You go to Rwanda, they have their CPA Rwanda. Every country. And therefore, to practice in those countries, there are some conditions, there's some vetting that you must do, that you must undergo. Yes, I am aware you have a memorandum of understanding in East Africa that CPA Uganda, you can practice from CPA Kenya, CPA Kenya can practice from here, CPA Uganda can practice from Tanzania with no additional requirements. But that memorandum of understanding is limited to East Africa. If you go outside East Africa, then you'll be subjected maybe to additional exams for you to qualify for practicing license certificate. What that shows you is that countries have established national bodies and they have national exams. And therefore, there is nothing called international qualification. They are simply called foreign qualification. When you are in Uganda, any qualification which is not administered here is foreign. When you go to Kenya, any qualification not administered in Kenya is called foreign. Okay? Now, back to the paper. We introduce you now to financial reporting standards. And from the time we start the lectures to the time we finish, we shall be singing standards. Standards, IS, this, IFRS, this, IS, this. So the expectation is that you must master these standards because they form the basis for reporting. Okay? Then, also, financial reporting as a paper introduces you to professional presentation. This paper now introduces a candidate to professional presentations. Let me not use the word introduces, but it enhances. It enhances candidates' professional presentation skills. Presentation skills. Okay? This paper enhances candidates' professional presentation skills. I am aware that my colleagues at the level 1 have introduced you to professional presentation. How do you prepare an income statement? How do you prepare a statement of financial position? How do you prepare a statement of cash flows? They have done that introduction. Now, in this paper, we now enhance that, because at level 1, you have done it without many accounting standards. Apart from IS 16, maybe IS 2, and a few standards. But what you have been doing is ideally IS 1, preparation and the presentation of financial statements. Now, in this paper, we enhance that. Because whatever you prepare, whatever you present, must be guided by a standard. Okay? So that is what the paper enhances. Therefore, the paper is a test of professional competence. The paper is a test of professional, technical competence. Technical competence. As a candidate, we test you on technical competence. Technical competence, you can also call it the professional competence. We test your skills in preparation, in presentation, and in interpretation of financial information. That's what we test here. So we are saying that the candidates are tested about professional presentation and the interpretation of financial information. Professional presentation, reporting, and the interpretation of financial information. Financial information. Okay? And that is very, very, very key. Interpretation. We can test you on ratios. We can test you on common size financial statements analysis, which you also find in other papers. So having said all this, then what is the structure of our paper? Our paper has 2 sections. We have 2 sections. That is section A and section B. Similar to other papers at level 2. This is similar to all papers at level 2. All papers at level 2 have 2 sections, A and B. Here there are no objectives. Sections A and B, similar to level 2 papers, or similar to all papers at level 2. And the questions are structured. We deal with the structured questions only. What is tested in section A? Section A, this section is for 40 marks. Okay? That section there is 40 marks. That is section A. 40 marks. Marks. What is tested in this section? The 40 marks are set from 3 areas. That is number 1, the examiner can either test you on IS1. IS1 is called preparation and the presentation of financial statements. That is IS1. It can be set from that. And that is what is common. Or it can be set from group accounting. We shall see group accounting as a topic. This is IFRS 10, IFRS 3, IS 27 at your level. It is group accounting, but for a simple group. For a simple what? A simple group. When we say simple group, it will be a group of 2 companies. At your level, we test 2 companies. That is a parent. You'll have a parent company and a subsidiary. We shall see what these mean. But that's a simple group. You have company A acquiring shares in company B only. That's what we test. Now, when you go to level 3, we now expand that. You can test 3 companies, you can test 4 companies. You make it complex. Again, section A, the 40 marks can be set from IS7, like as you saw in May 2026. IS7 is a statement of cash flows. Statement of cash flows. There. So the examiner has a choice to pick from either IS1 group or cash flows. Any of these 3 can be the compulsory question. And that section carries 40 marks. Regardless of whatever the examiner picks, in section A, there should be a part B that tests you on financial analysis. And our standard is ratio analysis. Now, ratio analysis comes regardless of whether you have selected IS1 group or cash flows. So it is the supplementary topic for this section. Okay, so the ratio analysis here is the supplementary topic in section A. Regardless of whatever the main question is, you'll have ratios. The ratios test the candidate on analysis and interpretation of financial information. So that is section A. When you read the examiner's reports, and from my experience, candidates perform well here because you enter an exam knowing what to do. You will know that either it's group or cash flows or IS1. So you maximize, you try to master those. Normally, candidates perform well here. My advice to you, as we prepare for December, is you should target a minimum of 25 marks here. A minimum of 25 marks in this section. If you get 25 here, then you are safe. As we continue, as we study, as we do the main lectures, you will see that it is very easy to get those 25 marks in that section. I will show you the approach we take, and we'll appreciate. And now people will start targeting, getting 30, 40, maximize it. I will also implore you to read examiners' reports, and you will see that this section is highly passable. Now, section B. We now need to bring section B. Section B is 60 marks. That is section B, 60 marks. What makes up the 60 marks? Oh, the one thing I forgot to tell you is that section A is compulsory. You have no choice. You must do it. Section A. Then, section B is optional. When we say optional, it doesn't mean that you don't do it, but it means that it has several questions out of which you select what you want to do. So in this section here, in section B, it is optional with 4 questions from which a candidate attempt 3 only. We don't want many, you just do 3 only. That is section B, from which a candidate attempts 3 questions only. Each question here, each question carries 20 marks. So when you come to B, whatever question you do, those are 20 marks. Now, what is tested in section B? Questions are set from ISs and IFRSs not tested in section A. Any standard which the examiner has not tested in A is free to test it in B. But for standards tested in A, they will stay in A. So you cannot have consolidation in section A and consolidation in section B. That cannot happen. Because accounting is wide, you cannot test from the same standards. Okay? So that is how section B is. But the same section also tests candidates on the conceptual framework of financial reporting, on the conceptual framework for financial reporting. The conceptual framework. The conceptual framework is the basis. It's not a standard, but it is a set of guidelines that guide us in the preparation and presentation of financial statements. It's where we pick all of those things, the definitions of assets, the elements of financial statements, the underlying assumptions, all of those are from the framework, including the characteristics of financial information. So that is section B. 4 questions, attempt 3. When you read examiners' reports, candidates struggle here. Candidates struggle in B. Why? They waste a lot of time in A, either trying to maximize the question or they get stuck in A. So by the time you come to section B, you have given up. I appeal to you that as we do the studying, please try to master these things, master the standards. If you master the standards, you will not find any challenges. Because the paper is purely set from standards. And when I say if you master the standard, I mean, what is the standard? What does it talk about? What is the recognition criteria? What is the measurement criteria? What is the disclosure criteria? There you have mastered the standard. Now, I will not give you a target for B, because if you have 25, really B, the target cannot be below 25. My emphasis on B is attempting all the required questions, attempting all the 3 questions. Because we find that many candidates do less. They will say, complain about time. Time wasn't enough. Time wasn't enough. What about for those who completed? How come that some completed? So that claim of time wasn't enough somehow does not hold water. Because you have candidates who complete, who attempt all. We even have cases of candidates who attempt everything. You do section A and all of B. Of course, such a candidate shows that he was not prepared for the exam. He's just doing gambling. And as MAT candidates, we don't encourage that. Because we believe by the time you go to do the exam, we have prepared you in the best way possible. You will see this yourself. So avoid those things of attempting everything. You're wasting time. You cannot beat the system. The system will select 4. Okay? So that is how the paper is. So also, candidates are tested on the conceptual framework for financial reporting and liquidation and receivership. Liquidation and what? Receivership. Because companies open, but they come to an end. Just like any other business. You are incorporated, but at some time, you can close. So when companies close, there is some accounting for them, which is what you call the liquidation and receivership. How do you prepare financial statements for a company that is being liquidated? Do they look the same like those of a going concern company? Not. They're totally different. You'll see this as we now do the main lectures. Okay. Are there questions so far? I can pause here. Questions? Colleagues, feel free. Members, questions there? Amina Nachimuri, are you following? Carol Nantongo, Christine, are you following? David Mugoya, are we together? Karen, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The others I called decided not to speak.
We are following, sir. We are following.
Okay. I prefer to get feedback from your side also. Now, having looked at that, we're now going to the other section, which I want to present to you today, and which is very, very important. That section is about learning outcomes. Learning outcomes. What is expected from us from this paper? What is expected of us? Okay. Now, our paper, that is paper 7. Paper 7 has 7 learning outcomes. Paper 7, sorry, has 9 learning outcomes. Learning outcomes, those are learning objectives that at the at the end of this paper, what will the candidate have? What do we expect the candidate to know? There are 9 of them. You look at the syllabus. Out of the 9, the exam must cover at least 80%. The exam must cover at least 80% of the learning outcomes. You see now where spotting would put you. So 80% of the 9 is about 7 learning outcomes. Here, I want you to look at the syllabus. Look at the syllabus. Look at the syllabus. Every paper will have learning outcomes. And the exam is set from learning outcomes. That's where exams are set from learning outcomes. So at MAT Abacus, we shall ensure that we complete and we structure our teaching in line with learning outcomes. Okay? These learning outcomes are different from the topics. I can have 5 topics, but speaking to one learning outcome. So don't confuse the two. The topics are very many. 18 to 19 topics there. But the learning outcomes are 9. Okay? So we shall try to reconcile the two and structure our teaching in line with those learning outcomes. The paper is very wide. The topics are very many. But MAT has given us a number, enough sessions. I'm sure by the end of September or by mid-October, we shall be through with the entire syllabus. Okay? So, this paper is a core paper that I also want to bring to your attention. It is a core paper for the course. For you to become a CPA, you must be very good in financial reporting, because it feeds into paper 12. You cannot do paper 12. Paper 12 is advanced financial reporting. You cannot do paper 12 unless you have passed paper 7. Likewise, you couldn't come here to do paper 7 before passing financial accounting. That is the interconnectedness of these papers. Paper 1 feeds into paper 7, paper 7 feeds into paper 12. And those are the core papers of the course. As an accountant. And as accountants, you're expected to know. So look for knowledge. Okay? Now, what is expected of us? I think we have talked about that. Now I want to present something as we try to wind up this engagement. And please confirm that you can see my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Great. So, generally, what we expect from you is to attempt all the required number of questions. The paper is 3 hours and 15 minutes. We expect that you spend the first 15 minutes reading section B. we don't encourage you. I don't encourage you to spend 15 minutes reading section A. Why? Because section A is compulsory. Whether you read it or not, you must do it. So the 15 minutes that we give you, you spend 5 minutes on each question. So that you use them to read the 4 questions and select the 3 questions that you think you can do. And the 3 questions you have selected, you do them in order of simplicity. If question 4 is simpler to you, start with that one. Start with the 4, then go to 2, and maybe end with 5. Okay? At times, it's also good practice to start answering exams from section B. Why? Normally, when the examiner is setting section A, that's where they put all their effort. So you'll find that section A is a little bit tougher. Because normally, and it is human nature, the question that you set first is what you complicate. You make it complex. The question that you set last, a question that you are just trying to balance the paper so that even an average, in professional papers, we don't call them average candidates. We call them the least prepared candidates can attempt. That comes in section B. At the university, they will ask you, where is the question for an average student? That's university. That when you're setting a university exam, you must put there a question for an average student. But for professional exams, the examiner will have questions, at least for the least prepared candidate, and that is in section B. You cannot compromise section A. So I would encourage you to always think about starting with the section B in all professional exams. That is my view. You can hold a different view, or your tutors can hold different views. It is you to decide. Handwriting in professional exams is very key. Apart from integration of knowledge, the rest of our exams are manual. They are handwritten. Markers struggle to read your answers if your handwriting is not clear. You want to simplify life for the markers and not for them to just cross your things. Be neat. Where you have poor handwriting, you write even after a paragraph, you skip a line so that you don't make your work congested. Avoid using black pens. Black pens make work look not good. Use blue pens. There are people who use compos in the exams. Please use a compo if your handwriting is good. Otherwise, if it's not good, then it will make the work look vague. Organize your work appropriately. The examiners award marks for professional presentation. When you read their reports, professional presentation. You may be stuck at 49. But because when the examiners review your paper, they discover that really this candidate has something. He has presented well, despite some of the answers being wrong. But there is flow. The candidate is bringing out the standards. You are mentioning the standards. You are referring to them. Despite the wrong calculations, you know what you are doing. That is the organization we're talking about. Whatever you answer should be in line with a certain standard. According to why is this? Okay. Section A we talked about. The trend of section A has been on consolidation. Yes. Because I think from the examiner's point of view, it is easy for candidates to pass consolidation. I'm very sure the institute wants to qualify as many accountants as possible. Because as a country, we are lacking professional accountants. But you must pass fairly. And if you have failed, you also fail fairly. Cases of they cheated me should stop. Those are just words from people who are emotionally challenged. When you fail, you have failed. Accept defeat and try to see how you do come back stronger. This I'm telling you from experience. In all professional exams, be it CPA, be it what, the professional body cannot fail you intentionally. By the time they say that, Karen, you have a 45, it means they have examined your paper and they are convinced beyond reasonable doubt that it is indeed a 45. Because ideally, the institute would like those who should pass to pass. So if you get challenged in a paper, if things don't come out well, go back to the drawing board. Move away from friends who are always complaining that the institute, these guys are rude, they are stringent, they are what? Those are very bad friends, I'm telling you. At level 1, you were very many, over 1,000. At level 2, you drop to 900, 800. By the time you come to level 3, you will be half. By the time you integrate, you are 100. Where is the 1,600? They fell off along the way. They were not determined. These words I'm saying them here, I'm talking about them here, but this is fact of life. Some people are not focused. Others are just here trying. Let me go and try. Others have been forced into it, most especially if you are still young. Your parents are forcing you into CPA, but your ambitions are somewhere else. Write correct titles. When you come to writing titles of financial statements, you say MAT Abacus Business School Statement of Comprehensive Income for the year ended 31st December 2025. Amounts in Ugandan shillings. That's the correct title. It has the reporting entity as MAT Abacus. It has the financial statement, comprehensive income. It has a reporting period, year ended 25. It has the currency, Uganda shillings. You can also include the degree of precision. Maybe you're presenting your figures in millions of shillings or thousands of shillings. That's the correct title. Don't just say statement of comprehensive income. Then you now start revenue. No. The title must be correct. Don't ignore part B, question 1. As we said, at times, it can be picked from the conceptual framework, but it can also come from ratios. No, the ratios must be there. But then they can put something on the conceptual framework, either characteristics of accounting information or underlying assumptions. Don't ignore it. Many people tend to concentrate on part A, just doing the financials alone. Then part B time quote me. For me, I don't want to listen to those stories, and I normally tell my candidates, if you have stories of time quote, you don't even attempt to call me. Because this is a song that we sing from the start to the end. Workings alone cannot earn you all the marks. That's a fact. I will show you as we study that it is better you first give a template. It's what I'm talking about here. always reproduce the template. Then you now go into workings. If you start with workings can confuse you. Workings will cook you, and by the time you come out of the workings, time is up. But you first produce a format, then you do the workings. Whatever you compute, you come and post in this template. These things you'll see as we study. Cross-reference your financials. It is good practice. If you have a working, maybe working 1, on the income statement you have revenue, you can refer the examiner. Revenue, you put brackets, working 1, then you put a figure there. It aligns with the professional presentation and can score you some marks. Okay? In section A, we don't explain standards unless we are told to explain. But otherwise, if the question says prepare, you simply prepare. Okay? Now, there is a marks in this paper, as you'll see as we move along. There are some questions with the items which don't require adjustments. Those are the items you should put first, because those are easy marks. You need to avoid wasting time. You find in an exam, some people carry rulers, because you have just come, I don't know. You go with a ruler in an exam to do what? You find someone is underlining things with a ruler, drawing columns in the paper. Don't waste time. Well, as I said, be neat, but neatness should not be interpreted like that. Neatness means have a good handwriting, have a good flow. Avoid those things of total equity, total liabilities. Where do you get time to add those things? Equity and liabilities, what the examiner is looking for is just the total for those two, not adding each. Total equity you put, total liabilities you put. Then I may come and say total equity and liabilities. You are wasting time. Okay? Now, when you go to the exam, we shall see this later. You don't again even waste time on adding those totals. Because if you add, for example, a balance sheet and it fails to balance, you lose morale. It affects you in the other questions. So it is good practice just to put the entries and go. Okay? Don't forget, there are questions like cash flows. I may not go into the technicalities. And the questions on income statement. At times, as you will see in consolidation, some of them require time apportioning. And when we are counting years, time apportion, I mean, that company has not made a full year during the current year. Maybe the company started operations in October and you are reporting in December, implying that it has been in operations for 3 months. So when you go into consolidation, you bring in the aspects of time apportioning. And when we are counting the months, we count using fingers. October, November, December. But if you just calculate on a calculator, you said December is 12 minus October 10, then you get them as 2 months. Then you're wrong. We count using fingers. Section B, at times the examiner may require you to advise on advise management. Such questions require report formats. When you say advise management, prepare a report, prepare a paper, prepare a memo. There are formats that we follow. And those formats, once you put a right format to, from, date, and subject, you get marks. I'll show you as we keep on studying. Section B, as we say, it's about standards. You must compute and report. Whatever you compute, you pass an entry. Debit this, credit this. Always quote the right standards. Pay attention to reporting dates. Don't ignore theory. Theory will save you. Candidates know this. I normally tell them. And many will call you that, sir, thank you very much. Theory saved me. Although in May, actually, one of my candidates called me as who was the team leader. Said, yeah, no, sir, the theory was too little. I've reserved it for advanced financial reporting. But the candidate had 78, which was good. Now, had the examiner brought theory, maybe we would have maximized the paper. Don't forget that for this paper, the prize winners come from MAT. Your colleagues have done it, sitting after sitting, prize winning the paper. I expect the same from this group as well. During the sessions, it's normal I bring the prize winner to share with you some of their experience. I will bring her, Rihanna, to share with you some of her experience, how she did it, and so that it gives morale to you as well. Attempt, but the good thing with maths, some of you people who study physically, you'll see all those prize winners there, and you will see their behavior is totally different. They always come first, and you leave them there at math. They are always there, and we know them. And when you're teaching, you can tell that this one, the way they are behaving, they will top this paper. Attempt to all the 3 questions. Stop ignoring questions that require disclosures. At this stage, it is too early to take you into this. But disclosure means what additional information do you want the third party to know? Okay? Now, there are things like time caught me before I transferred my workings to the templates. What do? The institute is fair. You don't lose everything. At least you score something. Can I decide my degree of precision? Yes. At times, candidates ask us about whether I should go with what the examiner has taken as degree of precision, and or I should define mine. You are okay to define yours. Okay? So, this I also wanted to bring to your attention. Then the question will be, with all this preparation that you as MAT, with all this preparation that MAT makes, how come that candidates still fail? Someone will ask that question. What can we do better? Okay? Now, candidates still fail. That's true. And at times, it is quite challenging, and it does not speak well. It doesn't sound nice. Just a minute here. Just a minute. Okay. Confirm, colleagues. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can now see it.
Good. So we have run through some of them. Apologies, this presentation had failed to open. It has finally opened. So someone would say, but we have run through all of the things. The syllabus, 9 learning outcomes, plus extension of paper 1. Those are the must-know areas. We shall share this with you. The paper composition is there. 70% theory, 30% qualitative. Sorry, 70% computations, 30% qualitative. Learning outcomes are there. I will share this with you. This we have looked at it. The must-know areas, what I must know. Group accounting, IS1, ratios, IS7. Those are must-know. When we say must-know, at least you don't hit an exam without mastering these. And indeed, these form the questions. In May, compulsory question was IS7. I had told the candidates, this is a must-know area. Don't interpret that into cheating exams. We analyze the syllabus and look at examiners' reports and look at the syllabus. That we all know question 1 is either group, IS1 or IS7. And we all know ratios should be supplementary there. We know the common standards in section B, PPE. There is no company that can operate without PPE. IS12, companies pay taxes unless you have made a loss. IS21, companies are now trading globally because this standard is about effects of changes in foreign exchange rates. Even small traders in Chikubo import from Dubai, Turkey, Italy, China. IS36 impairment, as you use assets, they start to wear out. IFRS 16 leasing is the order of the day. Some of us are renting. Where you stay, you are renting. That renting is leasing. You are leasing to use. You are leasing that room where you are staying. Therefore, what you are having is a right to use the room, but you don't own the room. Where we work for our companies, our offices, those are rented premises. What you have as a company is a right to use that office, but it's not yours. You don't own it. IFRS 15 revenue. Revenue is the core, is the main item of the income statement. Revenue. Companies exist to make revenue. So, those standards there, we have gone through that. The assumed knowledge of level 1, as I said, my colleague Joel gave you these fundamentals, debit and credit. You come with it. What do we expect? The examiner's expectations when you look at that, at the paper. Compute, prepare accounts. Compute ratios. Advise. Attempt 4 questions. And you see I'm putting the word only. Don't go beyond that. Why do candidates fail? This is where I was. Misinterpretation of questions. The professional exams are technical, but also practical. They require you to carefully read and analyze questions. Don't simply rush to go and start attempting. This is not an academic program. It's a professional program. People misinterpret, and it's one of the main reasons for the failures. Others attempt less than 4 questions. Those cases, time caught me. At MAT, we don't listen to such. Inadequate syllabus coverage. Even in this paper and all your papers that you do, whether from MAT or somewhere, ensure that the tutors have covered 100% of the syllabus. Because if you don't do that, you'll have scanty knowledge. I am aware that because there is August, a tutor may prioritize August sitting. And then you start doing for the December later, like end of August. At MAT Abacus, we don't do that. That's why you saw on the timetable, we have classes starting next weekend, alongside August. But these classes must run. Because we are not simply chasing for money. Okay? And we must cover the syllabus 100%. Avoid spot reading. I know you have colleagues who have done the paper. They will tell you, no, that one, just read this. Whereas I've given you the must-know areas. The must-know areas, you polish them 100%. But then also go with the knowledge of other areas. Because you cannot pass on the must-know areas alone. But don't spot read. Because if you do that, then you don't cover the syllabus 100%. Generic academic answers. Don't bring these in the professional exams. Government policy. What's wrong with government policy? That's generic. Explain the advantages of using indirect method of cash flows. That the method is simple to use. How? Those are academic answers. Simple. And at times you find someone saying it is simple when they have failed the calculations. Okay? So Karen, would that candidate be right? Who is saying the method is simple when he has failed the calculation? Would you give marks? Nabwiri, would you give marks to such a candidate? Okay. Okay. So we can continue, I think. Weak numerical skills. Some candidates fear numbers. Maurice, are you on call?
Yes, I'm on.
Some candidates fear numbers. You say calculation, you follow sick. Please address your mind to these practical scenarios. You cannot pass the paper theoretically only. Remember, as I showed you earlier, it is 70% computational, 30% theory. So there is no way you can run away from computations. When you look at the May paper, it was like 95% computations and 4% theory or 5% theory. Inadequate practice. It is good practice to test yourself and examination environment. You sit at your home, test yourself, time yourself for 3 hours, get a paper. Maybe May 2026. Try to sit it. Attempt it, timing yourself, and see whether you could pass the paper in 3 hours. But you find some people, they are saying we formed a discussion group. They are calculating numbers. Before they finish the question, they are opening the solution. You are deceiving yourself. First, do the question, finish it, then try to compare with the solution and see where you have gone wrong. But you do one step, you open the solution. You do a second step, you open the solution. You're not reading. Standard presentations, we talked about. What is the way forward? Regular practice with the past papers, mocks, ICPA books, and familiarize yourself with the CPA questions. At MAT Abacus, the 300,000 you have paid is a package that will come with the lectures, We shall give you recordings. We shall give you a study text, that is the book. We shall give you mocks, 2 of them. We shall give you revision. It's full package, no additional fees needed. We shall give you all of that. But do regular practice. I have noted, and with concern, when you issue mocks, only 40 candidates turn up. Now, it becomes hard for us to assess really, and it will become hard for me to help you. Don't come to me if you don't do my mocks. The day you give mocks is the day when people have issues. I had taken my car to the garage. I went for this wedding. I was the chairman of this party. You're wasting time. You are just creating reasons which are not there. There are some reasons which are valid. Someone will call you, sir, I will not be able to do the mock because I will be traveling. I will be in transit. But I will do the paper the following day. And some of these people do these papers and submit. And that is the seriousness we need in these professional exams. Attend all my classes. Please don't miss classes. Arsenal supporters, you won the league. I normally get challenges with the football lovers. Because there is a match starting at 3 p.m., you choose to dodge class. Please, please, please. We all like football. But let us dedicate this time to the course. Avoid last-minute reading. That I will get leave and read. No, you are deceiving yourself. Others say, sir, I think I just listen to the recording. You find them at movies there. Some of you don't know me, by the way. But I normally pass by universities. I go to movies, we have colleagues. I go to Chambogo, I have colleagues. I go to Makerere, I go to Nkosi. You find them listening to your recording, but they are playing it times 6. They increase its speed. Then you now wonder how this candidate is reading. Okay? Avoid generic answers, we have talked about it. Pay attention to question requirements. Attempt all of the 4. Continue attending webinars. You see, in this webinar, you're only 28. But the class will be like a 240 something to 300. Where are the other 260? They're not here. But yet some of this information is good. I'm sure you do not go back the same person you were before. So, MAT will organize seminars like this one. Even CPA will organize student engagements. Please attend them. There you're interacting with the subject matter experts, trying to show you where you can maximize, where things can go wrong, where things can go right. In this paper, some standards are set as a combination. You find one question having leasing and IS 21, the changes in foreign exchange rates. You find one question has a revenue IFRS 16 and IS 21. So let us look at these questions also. There are those which are set as a combination. So if you only mastered one standard, then it becomes hard for you to do that question. Okay? Master the fundamentals. Refer to the key topics, the must-know areas that I told you about. Group, cash flows, what. Those you must master. The word mastering means that you have become an expert in that area, that nothing can challenge you. Therefore, we expect 100% there. That's what we call mastering. Okay? That Messi is a master of dribbling. Ronaldo is a master of efficiency. That's mastering. Ensure adequate syllabus coverage. We have talked about it. That 80% of the questions are set from learning outcomes. Sorry, that the exam must at least test 80% of the learning outcomes. Test yourself. I've talked about this. You will build confidence. Read examiners' reports. Every sitting we issue, ICPA issues examiners reports. Can you read them? At least for the last 2 years. If this is December 2026, go and look at the report for May 2026. Look for the report of December 25, August 25, May 25. There you will get the flow and the direction of this paper. Because the examiner will tell you what are candidates doing wrong, what is our priority as ICPA. Read them and engage your tutors. I'm available. Engage me professionally at no extra cost. Don't call me, say, I want you, sir, I want you to take me through private sessions. I will pay. No. I consult with MAT Abacus only. I don't do private sessions. But that does not stop you from calling me, sending me your attempts, and requesting for me to review. That I do. Choose tuition providers wisely. Some of you run for tuition providers because MAT is charging 300. Let me go to this primary school, they are charging 200. Avoid that temptation. That temptation of looking for cheap savings will land you into problems. They are approved tuition providers by ICPA. MAT Abacus is number 1 there. Judge us by our pass rates. Okay? So, don't just go for a tuition provider because of the cost. That this one is very expensive. Cheap things will turn to be able to be expensive in the long run. Choose appropriate subject combinations. This is now very key. In CPA, paper 7 and paper 8 are done on the same day. I'm now talking about the exam. You do paper 7 in the morning, paper 8 in the afternoon. They are done on the same day. If paper 7 has been challenging in the morning, you can lose morale for paper 8. If paper 7 has been a success in the morning, you get morale for paper 8. This decision, I leave it to you. Do a self-assessment and determine, do you have enough gas to do paper 7 exam in the morning and paper 8 in the afternoon? If not, don't do these papers in the same sitting. That's my advice. It is advisable to select papers which are not done on the same day, or for which the exam is not done on the same day. Because you need time to recover. But you imagine, you have come out of paper 7 at 12:30, half past midday. Then at 2, you expect it to be back for paper 8. Not even at 2, like 1:30. You have rested for 1 hour. That 1 hour you have used it to get lunch, take some water, and maybe take some nap, sleep call, to be able to recover. Is it enough recovery time? That decision, I leave it to you. First, read the questions and ensure you have understood the examiner's expectations. We talked about this. Don't rush to answer. First, find out what is the examiner looking for. Pay attention to those simple questions. The question may appear to be simple, but when the examiner has hidden something, don't rush, don't be excited that, I read reasoning, Momaze. Hey, they may put something small like this. By the time you realize that you have gone for a hard question, 30 minutes are gone. Then you cancel, then you... Okay? So, when you go to the exam, before you read the scenario, you first read the required. If you find the required is hard, Don't waste time reading the scenario. The scenario is the case, the passage. You first read what is required. If what is required, you are doubting yourself on the required, then don't waste time on the scenario. Start answering from theoretical parts. When it comes to questions, it is advisable that you first do theory, because many times the theory will test you about the basics, maybe indicators of impairment. It is not connected with the case study. That's what I'm saying here. Normally not affected by computations unless otherwise. But for your level, even that unless otherwise is not applicable. Attack the questions from the questions you are familiar with. That will help you to build confidence. Don't start with the hard questions that let me show the examiner. You go with the simple questions first. Avoid writing too much and too small. That will save you time. You avoid time wasting and misfiring. There are people who write excessively. You write a paragraph of 6 lines. This is not a theoretical paper. In 2.5 lines, the point is already out. 2.5 maximum. But you're writing 6 lines. Are you pleading? What is it? That's not an answer to a professional exam. Start by quoting the standards, compute, and make comments. State your answer first. Be precise and concise. Start the answer. State the answer first. At the beginning of a paragraph, you put the answer there. Then you now explain later. Don't hide your answer in between there, in the middle. No. The markers will always look at the beginning of the paragraph. Has the candidate identified the answer? Yes. Give their marks. They will explain when they go to the field. But in an exam, normally at your level, the examiner marks identification. What is the answer? The answer is this. Has the candidate stated it? Yes. The explanation may not carry a lot of weight. Okay? Your advice on accounting treatment should be based on computations. Avoid generic advice. Quote applicable standards. Let there be consistency in your answers. Because if the correct answer is 7, and if you have yours as 6, you have it wrong. However, if you go ahead and advise using your wrong answer, then you will be judged based on the wrong answer. The marks for professional advice will be given. However much but for you have 6. So you be consistent. If your answer is 6, stick with the 6 and explain that. You'll get your marks. So what I'm saying here, that marks are awarded even if they are numerical errors. Because you might have pressed the calculator wrongly, and instead of getting 7, you got 6. But when you look at the flow, when you look at the principle, they are all there. The candidate has brought them out. Then they get their full marks. Avoid, always attempt all the theoretical parts first. I talked about this. Okay? So, colleagues, that is what I wanted to pass on to you today as we prepare to commence our revision. I now invite colleagues, if there are any questions, you can ask at this level. Questions? Is everything clear? Are you satisfied? I want to hear feedback from you. Lillian, Richard? Daphne? No reactions? Okay. So in the absence of no reactions, we can stop here. We'll meet next weekend to start our journey for December. We stop here. Good morning.
Thank you.